Hello, it's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. Stay tuned. Hello, I am your host, Bob Assadourian. Welcome to the Just Ask Bob show. And we kick it off with another viewer's email. Hello, Bob. I've recently moved into my new home, and I found that above the bathtub, the builder simply ended the ceramic wall tile at the very top of each wall and left the ceiling painted drywall. Bob, this bothers me, not just because of all the money I've spent, but because I do not believe it is good building practice. The builder tells me it will be just fine and is well within Ontario Building Code. Help, Bob. My wife thinks I'm crazy, and she agrees with the damn builder and not me, her husband. Andrew, Hamilton, Ontario. Well, thank you, Andrew, and sorry to step into the squabble here between you, your wife, and the builder, but you can tell your wife I completely agree with you. As far as the builder's point of view, yes, it's within building code. That's fine. A lot of older areas in Hamilton, Old Hamilton, the actual tile only goes up about 4 or 5 feet on the wall. So now you have about 2 feet plus of those walls around you above your tub at the very top that are, in those cases, they were plaster, which is actually better than drywall. And the ceiling is plain plaster. Now, if we take a moment to demystify the process between plaster and drywall. Plaster's stronger, much, much stronger. I've talked about that many, many times on my past seasons. So the plaster will actually stand up better and last longer against the moisture. However, a lot of those homes didn't even have a bathroom exhaust fan. Now, what the builders here in Hamilton are doing, you know, again, to defend the builders, okay, if your builder is giving you the option, if they're actually telling you X amount of dollars more, will match the same exact tile on the ceiling. What you should turn around and ask them is, you are going to put concrete board, den shield, or Schluter on the ceiling. You're not just going to put them over drywall. Because I've seen cases where the homeowner is charged X amount in labor. They're also charged for the cost of the installation, but they're not charged to upgrade from the drywall to the better product, such as the plywood, or in most cases, the den shield or the concrete board. Because adhering the tile to drywall is almost as bad as not having tile up there. You know, the problem is the moisture, the steam. I mean, once you've lived in that home, even a few months, you're gonna notice automatically that the walls in the bathroom, as long as you've got a fan that's operating properly and being used, the walls look fine. The paint looks the same. There's not any streaks or runs. The ceiling immediately within a month or two, you're going to notice that you can't wipe it clean. There's streaks and there's watermarks that are permanently in there. Drywall is simply 2 pieces of paper sandwiched over a gypsum core. By no means is it waterproof. And the funny thing is, at least the builder could have used an exterior latex or oil paint. So we're talking about a paint now that's meant for the snow, for the ice. If they painted the ceiling with an exterior paint, you'd have more chance of longevity. But I doubt it. I mean, there's no way. The painter, when he's in there for the builder, whatever can is there to paint the bathroom walls, he's going to use the exact same one on the ceiling. Now let's take a moment to discuss upgrades that make sense versus upgrades that are absolutely stupid. And I mean this literally. I can't tell you how many estimate calls I show up for. Homeowners are calling me in to quote granite and quartz countertops. That's fine. I park my truck. As I walk up to the door, I can't help but notice the few shingle tabs blown on the lawn. Or in some cases, depending where I've parked my truck, I can see bare patches on the roof where the shingles are curled. Now I think to myself, and these people are calling me here for stone and quartz countertops. But again, you know, to each their own. You know, a lot of times people are competing with the Jones. They care about the kitchen finishes, the quantity of pot lights, and the hardwood flooring. Meanwhile, the roof is just about to leak, and the foundation is either completely naked, or at the minimum, it simply has the Delta wrap, which is only moisture proofing not waterproofing. In my experience with most builders in Hamilton, they have their upgrades, and they have them specifically to maximize their product, to maximize their revenue, not necessarily to protect you, the homeowner. The most pushed upgrades from the builder start with pot lights. They make a fortune. Now picture your home doesn't have a trace of drywall in it. The builder's charging you $200 to $300 per pot light. Now remember, there's no drywall in the home. The electricians can run those wires like nothing. My own firm and my own electrician, we barely charge $100, $150 to put in the pot lights, but we're fishing like crazy running wires in and around and above the finished drywall. So the builder makes a fortune on the pot lights. The other thing is the quartz and the stone countertops, big push for them. And if you really think about it, have the builder put in the normal counter, take possession of your home, counter's a counter. You can have it installed at probably half the price of what the builder's going to charge you. Another item is the hardwood flooring. Rarely have I seen a builder promote upgrades that I believe are logical and make sense. Like, why not install deck armor on your entire, deck armor's underlayment on your entire roof, metal drip edge around all the perimeters and the gables, ice and water shield 3-foot band, and a heavy shingle that has wind resistance above and beyond 120 kilometers an hour. Why not have the builder offer an upgrade to the oriented strand board? I call that junk, that's plywood wannabe that you could spit on that'll delaminate. Why don't they offer you an upgrade for real 5/8 plywood? Why don't they offer you an upgrade to paint your home the right way using a satin or an eggshell finish, as opposed to the flat that they throw in, they throw on the walls, so that you're not having to unfurnish the home and cover all the furnishings later. So this is about education. I want you, the viewer at home, listening, if you're looking at purchasing a new home, learn what materials are better for your home. But I'll tell you, plant a seed in your mind. Two most important areas, your roof and your foundation. I just named a moment ago the criteria for a roof. Now let's talk about the other most important item, the foundation. Forget about the simple Delta Wrap. You can research it yourselves, the viewers at home. Delta Wrap is moisture proofing. Delta Wrap is not waterproofing. You want Blueskin. Blueskin wrap, which is a membrane that's peel and stick. You want your entire foundation wrapped in Blueskin. Then you're going to put the Delta Wrap up against it for two reasons. One, it will offer more protection. Secondly, when the heavy equipment comes in to push the grading, the earth back around your home, it's going to protect the Blueskin from getting damaged from any large stones or debris. Now what we've done today is we've put together a show for you on some of our past footage on one of our job sites. This footage shows a bathroom where the builder again skimped on tiling the ceiling. We've got a custom piece of cultured marble that was specifically made for this show, and it was color matched to the wall tile. We're going to show you how to install it. I believe this will make a perfect DIY project for the viewers at home. Today we're working on converting this drywall ceiling above the bathtub to a nice single seamless piece of cultured marble. We've got Andy Garcia back on the job. Give us a nice thumbs up, Andy. You're awesome. Okay, now what Andy's done is he's made a measurement going across in 3 locations, left, right, and center. Now he's connecting the lines together using the level as a straight edge. You want to be smart in your planning so you don't have a lot of mud work to do after. We're essentially cutting out the ceiling and we're leaving a 1/2 inch, exactly a 1/2 inch of drywall left. Now the reason for this is after the plywood's installed and then we install the cultured marble is going to be a 1/2 inch wider than the plywood. So it'll end up covering the edge of the drywall so you don't have to do any mudding and sanding up near close to the cultured marble. Really important when slicing drywall, I can't say it often enough, you want a sharp knife. Andy's pulling out the Olfa, one of my favorites. Very sharp knife. You want to make several passes. Andy's very skilled at this. Now, if you don't make several passes and then you try to remove the drywall, you're going to end up damaging the part that you didn't want to damage. Drywall tears, it rips and breaks easily. Are you feeling any corner bead in there, Andy? Any steel corner bead, or does it feel like it's through?
I feel like there's a steel corner bead.
Okay, we'll find out soon enough. Now Andy's cutting the perimeter. You want to be very careful when you're doing this so you don't end up cutting the tile. When you're pulling with such force, it's easy for the knife to slip, and that'll definitely cause damage to the tile. Well, Andy, your guess is as good as mine. Do you think they put a plywood backing there? I can't see a cheap builder doing that. Or do you think it's just plain drywall over 16 on center framing?
I'm hoping.
One way to find out, you feel pumped today. Any plywood?
No.
No? I hope we got studs at least.
Yeah, we got a stud right there.
Perfect. A lot of different ways for you to do this at home for the viewers. You can use a hammer. Essentially, you want to try to get this into manageable pieces. And please make sure the bathtub's covered. Always cover the tub. You can't see it right now, but we got this tub completely covered in 3 layers of cardboard. So Andy, careful when you're pulling close to your cutout for that 1/2 inch edge, because if you're not sliced right through, you'll lose the edge. Yeah, see how it's stressing on the edge now? If you're not cut through, if you're not sliced right through, you could break the edge.
Yeah.
It is cut through?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Andy, Bob's got to get to another job. Pick up the pace.
Well, we got all the drywall removed up here. We still have to remove the screws that are still stuck up here. Do some detailing work with the drywall in the corners. You want to get all that out. And clean the tub, or else Bob will kill me. So stay tuned while I clean this mess up and install some plywood after.
Welcome back to our New Builders episode, where as you can see, we're remodeling this shower partially. We've got nice tile that can take the moisture and the steam. Unfortunately, the ceiling was plain drywall. Don't ask me why they tile 3 walls to the top and they leave the ceiling painted. Now, before the plywood is ready to go up, what we're doing is we're adding some extra framing and we're gluing it and screwing it. So you see we've got our favorite product here, a top pick on past episodes, PL Premium, and it's the Max. The cultured marble panel that goes on the ceiling here is very heavy. So what we're doing is we're sistering to the joists. This joist at the end, and if you can follow us at home now, also the joist on the other side, we've already sistered that one on. So if you can see this one, that's what the sistering is. That gives us a lot of meat to screw the plywood into. Because right now, because we took the ceiling out, the ceiling was on an innie. Because they wall boarded the wall first, obviously. So we don't have a lot of room there. And I don't like edge screwing, because this plywood is what's going to determine the success of gluing the marble to it. Because the marble can't be screwed. The marble panel is always going to be glued. So like I've always said before, you want to glue it and screw it. Now we've got our 2x cut here that's been sistered. I've got a screw already set up in it. That way I'm not fighting with it on camera. We're going to put it in. This has to be flush here. If you want to zoom in for the viewers at home, that's flush. Now I'm going to show you the wrong way. That's called a step. There's 2 times you don't want to step. You don't want to step when you're ceramic tiling, and you don't want to step when you're framing. You want it flush. If you create a step, you're going to have problems. Unfortunately, that screw's too high for me. Not an easy place to screw in there for access. So this is going to want to slide for a moment. The glue makes it slippery. You want to add the screws every 8-inch centers, and you want to stagger them up and down. Time for the plywood. Now, for those of you at home, if you want to zoom in and watch the joists, every single joist has a generous bead of the PL Max. If you want to zoom in now on the bulkhead, every joist is marked with a pencil mark, and we've also put corresponding marks on the tile. All right, usually this is a 2-man job, but we've got Mr. Garcia on the camcorder. Thank you, Andy, for making me work hard.
No problem, boss.
Okay, find a mark here. We're using 2-inch screws, which is plenty because the plywood is 1/2 inch. Just want to make sure I'm tight to the tiled wall. You want to countersink the screws. That way they don't bother the marble. We've got a custom piece of cultured marble that was specifically made for this show, and it was color matched to the wall tile. Here we go. Great. 24 hours have now passed since we glued up the cultured marble piece to the ceiling, to the plywood subbase. You want to make absolutely certain that you wait 24 hours prior to taking down the yellow support rods. That way everything's going to adhere properly. We also took the time to cut a 4 1/4 inch hole through the center of the ceiling. We installed a pot light, and we ran enough length of wire up into the attic so when our electrician pays us a visit, he can tie in the circuit for power. If you're going to do all this work, it makes sense to have a nice light in the center. So as you can see, the level of detail here, absolutely gorgeous piece, custom made to fit the opening. Custom color match to the tile as best as they could. I think they did a beautiful job. Special shout out to our good friends, Rudy the owner at MM Cultured Marble. Unlike the original, which the builder installed, they simply put the same paint on the ceiling as they did on the walls. Probably not even a moisture resistant paint. That's not the way to do it. This cultured marble piece will definitely stand the test of time. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Up next, Bob's Top Picks and Bob's Bewares. Welcome back to the Just Ask Bob show. I hope you enjoyed the show. We went to a lot of effort to have that panel custom made, and we went to a lot of work to install it. I believe this is an easy DIY project for those of you at home. Husband and wife working together in harmony, or get the young kids involved as well. Now this panel will never be affected by the steam from the shower, and I think it looks gorgeous. Now on another note, for those of you that are not DIY conscious, Hamilton does have a license for its contractors. This is the license here. City of Hamilton, Master Building Repair Contractor's License. It is important. It means that the contractors passed a police check. The contractor also has written a 2-hour examination on the Ontario Building Code, and it's somebody that you can trust inside your home. Now, I've talked about this many times before. The license is not a guarantee that the job will be flawless. It's not a guarantee written in stone, so to speak, that the paint will be perfect, there'll be no runs, that the contractor's going to clean up every day, or that you're going to get along with him. But what it does make sense is think of it as a solid footing, a solid foundation to begin your project on. Can you imagine if the contractor is not licensed? That contractor may be in your home from well before you've left for work and should still be there in some cases after you've come home from work. The police check counts. Think about it that way. Now to kick it off, we have a very simple Bob's Bewares and Bob's Top Picks, which is essentially a recap of what we discussed in the beginning of the show. Please beware of the builders' upgrades where they're pushing you for pot lights, for granite and stone counters, and for endless miles of hardwood. These are things that it is more economical to get done after the fact. Items that you should be looking at to get done before you move into the home are upgrades like real plywood subfloors that are glued and screwed, because living with those annoying squeaks will bother you considering what you paid for that new home. So keep in mind, it's all about education. Speaking of education, visit our website. Every show is put together based on an email submission from you, the viewer. Now, while we can't get to every email, for a show, Bob will always return your emails with answers, and will always return your phone calls. Visit us, www.justaskbob.com. Again, that's www.justaskbob.com. Or, if you're old school, and so is Bob, pick up the phone. We welcome your calls. 289-649-0196. Again, that's 289-649-0196. Thank you, Hamilton.
Wait, what was that?
Okay, I'll do it again.